Hello everyone, my name is Tom Hazen. This week, we are asked to view a TED Talk given by Ms. Zainab Tafeki on the subject of targeted advertisement. When she first introduced the topic of the conversation, I thought I had a reasonable grasp on where things were headed. However, she quickly dispelled that notion with her introduction to the algorithms working behind the scenes to collect user data. Machine learning relies on data inputs, and these algorithms have become more and more effective over time as we give them more and more data to crunch. The general population seems to either be naive to the amount of data they are transmitting or don't grasp the level of impact this can have on their lives. This presentation will start with a discussion on the vulnerabilities consumers face. The focus will specifically be on the millennial generation, which is typically defined as the group of individuals born between 1981 and 1996. With the need for security having been clearly demonstrated, we'll then discuss what methods can be put into place to help consumers protect themselves in today's digital age. And finally, because it is not all doom and gloom, we'll close by discussing how the collection of customer data can be a good thing, not only for businesses, but for the consumer themselves. Most historians believe we are living in the fourth industrial revolution. This period is marked by advancements in digital technologies, computing, and communication. Smart technologies are being implemented into our daily lives, often in ways we may not be aware of. The prevalence of these devices is such that estimates indicate the world transmits some 3 quintillion bytes of data on a daily basis. Because I had to look it up myself, the quintillion is 18 zeros. To put that in context, the global population transmits the net worth of Jeff Bezos nearly 16 million times over every single day. So where is all this data going? There exists in the world today a shadow industry in data brokerage. Data is purchased from companies that have harvested information on individual consumers. The brokers in turn sell it on to businesses. This information is collected from a wide range of sources, most of them being a typical part of our daily lives. This includes just about any credit card transaction we make, our browsing history, and public record. Most obviously, this also includes every social media post we make. As of January 2020, there are nearly 4 billion active social media users across various platforms. Some 77% of millennials use Facebook on a daily basis. 70% use Instagram every day, and nearly 2/3 go on YouTube daily. The use is so extensive that a new career path in social media influencer now exists as a viable livelihood. With so much activity, a digital identity can quickly be crafted. The challenge is in trying to understand how that identity may be used. When Facebook launched their video calling system, Portal, they explicitly stated that no data collected through Portal would be used for targeted advertisement. However, the basic platform for Portal was Facebook Messenger, which does collect data for ad targeting. Facebook was quick to walk back their statement a few days after launch, but how frightening is it that a company either does not know the degree to which it is tracking its users, or is willing to outright lie about doing so? Fake or falsified profiles have become commonplace and are used to create manipulative content that can have a significant influence on people's behavior, potentially to devastating effect. In her TED Talk, Ms. Tafeki demonstrated how this tailored messaging can be used to influence voter behavior. A small adjustment to an image on social media resulted in a measurable increase in voter turnout. In a vote decided by the thinnest of margins, this additional turnout, when directed to one candidate or another, could have massive implications. Just this week, there was a major breach at Twitter in which several high-profile accounts were hacked in an effort to get people to unknowingly participate in a cryptocurrency scam. Science fiction has become reality. We can start our car and shut off the light in the kitchen from a mobile phone. Global revenues from smart enterprise applications are expected to exceed $30 billion within the next few years. Massive investment is being made in the field of artificial intelligence. And millennials will not only be using these devices every day, but will be working for the companies that develop them. Consumers have opened themselves up to transmitting huge amounts of data, oftentimes without knowing they are doing so. Transparency is the greatest challenge consumers face. We do not have an understanding of how data is collected and how it is used. Data brokerage sites also make it notoriously difficult to remove your information from their databases. As a populace, we conduct our lives such that the information surrounding it is not even within our own control. As a starting point, consumers need to take back control of the data. Companies and the services they offer need to enable consumers to see the data they're transmitting and clearly provide consent as to how and to whom it will be transmitted. Fortunately, there is a strong example that the United States can look to in order to better regulate consumer privacy laws. The European Union implemented the General Data Protection Regulation in May of 2018. At its core, the GDPR gives individuals the right to provide consent to the collection and processing of their data. Critically, this must be in an easy-to-understand and easily accessible format. We're all familiar with extensive terms and conditions agreements that are consented to without a single word having been read. This was famously parodied in a South Park episode called Human Centipad that crudely but effectively demonstrates how important it is to have clearly defined consent. Viewer discretion very much advised. The GDPR sets standards for data protection in general. Data protection agencies conduct compliance audits of companies using standard practices and procedures. These audits will serve to ensure companies are meeting cybersecurity measures and limit the risk of potential data breaches. There is additional cost for businesses in order to comply with the regulations. However, most consumers are willing to pay a small amount more for a product or service to ensure their information is secure. Artificial intelligence is used to collect the data we're trying to protect. It can also be used to secure that data. Oftentimes, the collected data can be very predictable to trace. It may utilize the same network pathways and be stored on a centralized server over and over and over again. So, while the inputs may come from a variety of users and locations, they all end up in one place. Decentralized applications, or dApps, can be used to distribute that collected data to multiple locations, this way ensuring there is no one central point from which the data can be poached. This type of protection structure can be used to help secure end-user data, assuming the user has consented to its collection in the first place. Modern organizations have so much infrastructure in place and so many pieces of software communicating with one another that it can be hard to spot holes in the structure of a network. Fortunately, application performance management tools are built to do just that. While their primary function is to assist with user experience, APM tools can be used to monitor data inputs and outputs and ensure the data is flowing where it should be flowing to. This automated layer over top of the network infrastructure can effectively identify security risks that might otherwise go unnoticed. Almost any development in digital technologies is intended to improve the livelihood of the consumer. Air quality sensors connected to a central hub can identify areas of pollution. Online sensors ensure properly treated water is delivered to dense urban centers. Businesses are able to receive real-time feedback as to how a product functions and how the consumer is responding to it. This ensures leaders have the most accurate set of information available to them during the decision-making process. The consumer stands to benefit because companies can set design goals and develop ideas as a result of that real-time feedback loop. A critical benefit to the consumer is the development of digital healthcare technologies. A recent research report published by a medical data analysis company indicates that remote patient monitoring technologies have led to reductions in both hospital admissions and healthcare costs. The challenge is in getting people to overcome their fear of data security and privacy. Fortunately, as the reading this week shows, individuals tend to trust their healthcare providers more than any other group with personal information. These devices, if properly utilized, can alert clinical staff if a patient is exhibiting problematic symptoms and potentially take preventative action. This strikes close to home for me, as my grandfather died of a brain aneurysm that went undetected for nearly 24 hours. By the time anyone realized what was happening, unfortunately it was too late. I imagine that everyone listening has a similar story regarding a relative or close friend. Interestingly, these wearables could be used as a means of tracking COVID-19 symptoms in real time by spotting fevers and breathing patterns in patients. The old adage is to never let a good crisis go to waste, and this pandemic may serve as an opportunity for medical wearable technologies to demonstrate how effective they can be in improving one's well-being. This presentation serves as a cautionary tale. Undoubtedly, there is major benefit to the advancements we are making in artificial intelligence, both for businesses and the consumer. As a collective, we need to ensure that personal user information is not used to negative effect and individuals retain ownership over their own data. We need to continue to be viewed as human beings in the eyes of a business, not just sets of data. Lastly, here are the references I used in developing this presentation. Thank you for your time.